welcome to Book World of Grayscape. I'm author CJ Peterson. My co-host over here is author Michael Scott Clifton. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about email lists of subscribers. Why do we have them? Why do we need them? And how do we get them? But first, Mike, what do you have coming up for you in your author world?
Well, we were at Dalton Days last weekend and really well. We sold quite a few books at the Dalton Days. If people aren't familiar with that, they have this as an annual event in downtown Longview. It's a recreation of a old-fashioned bank robbery back in the Wild West days. It actually occurred in Longview, Texas.
That's kind of cool.
So it always draws a big crowd. And there's also the Gregg County Museum there, and the director is collecting books from authors, and they're selling them in the museum. So I was able to sell them some books for them to sell to people that come in and visit the museum as well. And they're doing that sort of as service for authors, particularly local authors that live in and around the Longview area. And not this week, but next week, a friend of mine that I taught with at Chapel Hill, he is now the Dean of Students at Tyler Junior College in Tyler, Texas. They have a week-long arts festival that begins next week. It runs from the first of the week to the end of the week, Sunday to Sunday, or Monday through Saturday, I should say. And I'm going to be a speaker at an arts event there on Friday. And that's at 9:30 in the Jenkins building. And that's on the main campus of the TJC campus. And then Saturday, Ian Griffin, who we've had as a guest on Book World prior, he and I think there's 27 authors, we will all be on Main Street for the annual Pittsburgh Hot Link Festival, which is an annual event that's been going on for years and years and years. Pittsburgh, Texas, Pittsburgh with a G, not with an H, has had a long tradition of being the hot link capital, if not of Texas, of the world. So we'll be there, and we'll have actually an author alley. Now we're going to be on Main Street, and we'll just be, there's 27 of us. And for what Ian has done, he has gotten coupons where if you stop at each author's table, you get a coupon, sort of like a ticket, and then you draw for prizes that go from big screen TVs to, free hot links, things like that. It's pretty cool. So, and this will be my first time doing that this year. Also, another local author that we have we've interviewed, had a guest on Book World, Nancy Hudgens, aka Dana Wayne. She'll also be there as well. So, yep.
Just had her last week, so that's cool.
Yep.
So what Comic-Cons do you have coming up soon?
So let's see. The first one is SpaCon, which we went to a couple of times. It's been 4, 5, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, I think it was, which is in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And SpaCon's under new management. So we're going to try it again. And that's going to be, let's see, the 16th and 17th of May.
Nice.
And so that'll be actually the first Comic-Con that we will be attending. But it'll be in beautiful downtown Hot Springs at the Hot Springs Convention Center.
That's a pretty area. We've been there before. Very nice. Cool. You got lots of stuff going on. What's going on there? I don't have much. Actually, right now, we're just kind of chilling and kind of waiting out the storms that are hitting us left, right, and center. Speaking of, today we're getting hit again. So we have those coming, but next Comic-Con we have on our schedule will be mid-July, and that's the East Texas Comic-Con in Longview, Texas. And that is the week of the 17th, 18th, 19th, I believe. So I think it's like the 18th and 19th of July. And then the last weekend in August is Lufkin Comic-Con, and that's the Piney Woods Comic-Con down in Lufkin, Texas. So those are two you can mark your calendar on. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you were planning on being at both of those as well.
At the East Texas and the Piney Woods. Yep. This will be our first year to be at the Piney Woods Comic-Con, but as you know, we've been at the previous this will be the third East Texas Comic Con will be attending.
Definitely. Well, I run the floor, but if you're in any of my books, check out my website, cjpetersonwrites.com. If you're interested in my books, contact me, let me know, and I will bring them to you at those Comic Cons. Okay, so today we are talking, well, actually, before we get to that, next week, people say you don't judge a book by its cover, but we have a different theory on that. We think you do. We actually know that you do. We've seen it. We've proved it. So we're going to teach you how to make a good first impression with a good book cover. So let's jump in today's, which is email marketing / email subscribers, why to have them, that sort of deal. I'm going to start with those people who are like logic brain first, and we're going to get over the little graphs because people just like them. This is a survey done by BookPub in 2023, but a lot of it is still applicable because the author world, everything is pretty much generally stays about the same-ish. But everything that I've read in here is pretty well accurate. So out of the 500 authors that they actually went through and surveyed, this shows you how many books they each published, this particular graph. It also shows you what type of books they publish, whether they're self-published, hybrid, or traditionally published. And then the third graph on this one shows you what genres they actually write in. So it kind of gives you an idea, basic-wise, if you fall into some of those categories as to help you in regards to your email. Now, which platform do they currently use for the newsletters? People are pretty much just stuck on MailChimp because that's the only one that they've heard about. But there are a lot of other ones out there. There's MailerLite, MailChimp, there's Flooddesk, Wix, Convert. There's another one that we're going to be talking about today that's called Beehive. There's Weber, Mad Mini, Substack, and Squarespace. So there's a variety of them out there. You just kind of got to find them and compare. How often do you typically email your subscribers? This is important, and we're going to dive into this later as to why. Majority said once a month. Some said 2 to 3 times a month. Very few said every week. Few said a few times a year when I have news or updates, every other month, or when I release a new book. So those bottom ones are kind of not really utilizing their email subscribers, and we'll talk why. How many newsletter subscribers do you have? You have under 500, 500 to 1,000. Majority lands in 1,000 to 5,000, somewhere in there. Most authors I know are kind of in that under section. Very few follow above it. But it doesn't matter how many email subscribers you actually have. Your focus needs to be on the reader, period. Your idea is to build your list, but your focus is on the reader. And that's what you need to keep in perspective as we go through all this stuff. How do you gain new subscribers? Links in the back of the books. I hadn't thought about this. Some people said they put QR codes in the back of books. Brilliant idea. Never thought of it. Going to start doing it now. Links on social medias. You can give away free books, like a free ebook. Organic website traffic, promotional sites like BookFunnel, which we'll talk about, Book Sweeps and Lightring. Newsletter swaps with other authors. Again, we'll talk about that. Giveaway of bonus content, advertising, giveaway of other prizes and other ideas. Now, what do you include in it? Out of these 500 authors, 92% said update on new books. 70% said cover reveals, recommendations for other authors with 65, also 65 personal stories or updates. Those are important. 62 also said sneak peeks or excerpts into new books. Those sections are important because it's not completely buy my book. Because one is recommending other authors, and others personal stories and updates. If you see some of that's balanced. If you keep going buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, it's going to be just like it would be on social media. It's going to fall on deaf ears. There's giveaway contests, discounts on backlist books, behind the scenes personal information on writing process, bonus content about the books, pictures of pets. I love to see pictures of pets. Series information on reading order, pictures of my home or writing space, and then deleted scenes, which is another good one to consider. So there's lots of information already in those graphs that we're going to be heading down into. So why email? Why would you do it if you have all these social media links, right? You have all these other social media platforms. The problem is not everybody is on every other platform. So depending on what platform you're on depends on what reader you hit. And even then, only 2 to 20% of your followers actually get it due to all like the advertising and the flooding of other people that are in that they're following. So only 2 to 20% actually see what you're kicking out, which would equal up to, say, if you had 1,000 followers, as few as 20 would see it. Meanwhile, the click rate across the average across the industry for opening up a newsletter is 39.7%, and that is a 2026 statistic. So you're vying between 20% versus almost 40%. And these guys are streamlined directly. They want that information on your email. They're asking for it. They said, hey, pass it over here. We want it. We want it. We want to connect with you as an author. We want to learn more about you as an author. We want to see where we connect, which is where the pictures of the pets come in. Pictures of your family. What are you doing? What's going on in your world? That's that behind the scenes when you're writing. What does your writing space look like? Well, this is mine, kind of slightly chaotic, but that's my brain. So it depends on, what does your process look like? A lot of people have these questions, and these are the type of questions that we get whenever we actually do go to like Comic-Cons or book shows and stuff, and we have panels. They'll ask us these exact same questions, and you can answer these questions in your newsletters. So there's lots of things that you can do. Things to consider: build your list. Deliver good material that makes people want to stay on your email list. Don't use AI. Get creative. You are a creative. Use it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Sometimes you put too much pressure. I have to do it once a week. I have to do it once a week. No. Start small. Do it once a month. You saw that average. Start with once a month. If you decide you have more content, you can build to every other week. It just depends. Or just toss in an extra one in the month once in a while. Or just, hey, promise you won't spam your people and tell them you're only going to email them once a month. Sometimes they appreciate that. You don't know. It just depends on your audience. What do you have as your audience? Mine, I tell them, hey, I'm not going to spam you. You get one from me once a month, if that. Just get creative. Use technology to improve your email campaigns. Don't fight it. Don't go against it. Make creative ads. Put different things in there that will appeal to them. Think about your headline. The first thing that they see, it's kind of like judging a book by its cover. The first thing they see is the cover. The first thing they're going to see in their little line is what? Subject matter, right? So you need to hook them just like you would with a book or a book cover. So instead of, say, monthly author update, try research discovery that changed my entire plot. That's a lot more intriguing than monthly author update, right? It's like, okay, what was it? I'm curious. Instead of new book release, try 3 years of writing led to this moment. When I finished my Team Angel series, 10 years of publishing has led to this moment of the last book in that series. What is this moment? It's going to make them want to open it. Instead of newsletter 47, try what I almost deleted. Why I almost deleted this entire manuscript. There's a story behind it. You're an author, write the story. Get creative on it. Make sure there's a sign up on your page where they can see it. I cannot tell you how many author websites I've been to that I cannot find their social media links. I have to actually search the site for their social media links, and I have to search the site to sign up for their newsletter. And that's painful, because those are two things that should be readily accessible on pretty much every single page. And that's not going to help you build your list. Incentives to sign up. Why would they want to sign up? Think about that. What's going to make me want to sign up for you? Well, here's some ideas. We have a sample chapter, either in PDF or in audio, or a short story. in PDF or audio. Bonus epilogue or a deleted scene. Those are always good. It'd be interesting. Contest or giveaway, like a gift card for a sign up. You can do, like I said, a short story. You can do a prequel to a book that's coming out soon, or to a series that's coming out soon. So there's a lot of things that you can kind of play with, figure out, what can I use to entice people to sign up? Examples of things you can have in your newsletter. We kind of read some of them, but some other things you consider is interview with a character. Interview one of your characters. You wrote them, you know them. Interview them. Upcoming appearances, sneak peeks, blog postings, podcasts, upcoming interviews, soon-to-be releases, life updates, fun stories, behind-the-scenes glimpse of your workspace, chapter ideas. Here's another one for you. Name the next character contest. That's a good one for you. Or here's another good one. Create a poll in which direction to take the story in. So, for example, like this Choose Your Own Adventure books. Say, okay, I'm at this point in the story. Which way do we go? And create a poll, because that's going to have them interacting. And you want things to have them interact with you. Like I said, don't overthink it. Otherwise, it's going to be too much pressure on yourself. Don't spam your list with buy my book. Don't be a stranger. Be consistent in whatever it is. Like I said, I tell people, you'll see me once a month, and that's it. Then they know they're not getting spammed. And they know to expect it, and they usually expect it at about the same time each month. So if they don't hear from me at that point, they're like, where'd she go? Did I lose her in spam? So that's why you want to be consistent as well. Make sure to use the correct platform. This is what we were just talking about. There's a couple things to think of. Most people actually use MailChimp because they've heard of it. Honestly.
Yeah.
I know a lot of authors, that's the only reason they use it, because it's the only one they've heard. They don't email list. They do that. Well, MailChimp does offer a lot of bells and whistles. Not kidding. But a lot of them you may never use as an author. And that's something to consider. A lot of entrepreneurs use MailChimp because there are a lot of bells and whistles.
Right.
Good for them. MailerLite is another one that was mentioned. That was the top one. And if you have less than 1,000 subscribers, you can access a lot of features for free. So that's a really good one for authors who have like a smaller email list. However, you can only send 12,000 emails per month. So if you have a smaller email list, that's not a bad thing. If you're only sending it once a month, that's not a bad thing to deal with. If you're sending it even twice a month, you're still okay. They have limited templates, but you have to fill out this, I guess, really detailed application. You have to go like 2 different places to verify. So if you can get through those initial hoops, it's actually a pretty good option for authors. Beehive is another one, and they have pricing structure that won't penalize you for growing your list. There's a free plan that allows you 2,500 subscribers. You can customize your own email or plug in a template. And there's a lot of other benefits that are for that one as well. So you can check out those 3 places and kind of figure out which one best fits what your email list is and what you're wanting. Here's some other ideas, cross-promotion ideas. We know a lot of authors.
Mm-hmm.
We know a lot of authors in this world. We know a lot of that are in our own genre. Make a campaign where you guys are doing like free ebook giveaways. You give away one, they give away one, and somebody else, you got like 2 or 3 other ones. And do like a campaign. Create ads, put them in your newsletters, and link them to each other's sites. Because that's sending them to other people, and you're promoting somebody else's book, and you're promoting another author's website, and you're helping them grow, and they're helping you grow in return.
Mm-hmm.
Cross-promotion idea. There's a lot of things you need to consider. Open rates. How many times did they open them? Play around, see what they respond to. Click-through rate. In other words, do they go through and purchase a book if you have Buy My Book in there? Maybe you have a new release coming through. Did it fluctuate and go higher when a newsletter came out? You can track that stuff. Subscriber growth and rate and retention, track the development. Direct responses to reader actions. Did you do a poll? Did you ask a question and share an opportunity for them to interact with you? I used to put little stories or ask questions. silly questions like those, what do they call them? Icebreaker questions. And I'd answer them myself. And I'd say, what about you? And they would be able to respond to me because all they do is just click reply and they'd be able to respond directly to me. And I'd get some replies. They're pretty cool. Some are pretty funny. Some of your postings and ads can be converted to social media. However, I would limit those because you have to have some special content for your newsletter people. There's a reason why they're on your newsletter.
Right.
So keep in mind. Like I said, when you're creating your email, focus on the one single person you're creating it for, and that is the reader, period. Doesn't matter the number, whether it's 50 or 20,000. You're still focusing on the reader, period. What is it they're wanting? They're wanting to connect with the author. This day and age, it's not just about the book. They want to know, oh, I know that. I have a dog like that, or I have a cat like that, or, oh, I've been there. I've been to that place, or that sounds really cool. They want to connect with the author on a level that's more personal than just buy my book. And you can do that by sharing those little stories, tidbits we were talking about. Now, how do we grow an email list? We talked about social media promotion. Always have a sign up on your website. Make it visible, but not intrusive. You don't want to be obnoxious about it. There's other places called like BookFunnel, Story Origin, or similar sites that can be affordable resources to help build your email list in exchange for like a free sample or a free download link. So they can help you build your list that way as well. Start slow, once a month. If you feel, like I said, if you feel like adding, you can toss another one in there once in a while if something special is coming up, and maybe see if you want to bump it up to maybe bi-weekly. Weekly is a bit much, especially for an author. Some people are okay with it. I don't write enough to do that, so that'd be a bit much for me. Authors who send weekly show more engagement than those who do monthly by 15 to 30%, though, depending on their genre. So keep that thought in mind. The more they hear from you, sometimes the better off they are. Just make your emails smaller. They don't have to be like massive. Just make them smaller. Like an article here or an article there, which is another thing you could do. You could do like one article per newsletter. Make it smaller. In 2023, and this blew my mind a little bit, 75% of new subscribers from independent authors came from a QR code in the back of the book. Never occurred to me to use that. Well, now will be in the back of all my books from this point forward. Putting the QR code back there. Sign up for my newsletter. This is where you go. Just do it. Never even thought of doing that. I put my books back there in my other series books, but never thought of putting the QR code to kick them back to my website. And it's a brilliant idea. 69% came from social media. So you can advertise on social media, run a giveaway, run those promotions. Hey, we talked about like the deleted scene. Make those ads. Let them know, hey, this is what you get when you sign up. Think of how many people have email versus social media. As for social media, think of how diverse the users are depending on the platform. The answer is a streamline into their email. There are 4.48 billion email users in the world. Pretty sure some of them coming your way would help tremendously in your world.
So I would say that we live in a spam world now, and AI has dramatically accelerated the spam volume that an ordinary person with an email address, whether they're a reader or not, whether they're a newsletter subscriber or not. And so that's going to be a challenge that you will face, as whether you're an established author or just starting out. On the amount of times you should release a newsletter, I would say, I guess it depends on and I think you touched on this a little bit, CJ, how prolific the author is. Some authors can put out several books or even a series or so in a year's time or less, maybe in months. And so just because of their work product, their newsletter, their emails to the newsletter subscribers needs to be reflective of the fact that they've got new work coming out. But I will caution, this is and there's some good information on those surveys. I think that you can get, because of the just the volume of spam now. I think you can get email fatigue from people who that they're constantly having to go through and delete spam and things like that.
Mhm.
So if you're putting out a newsletter a week, I just don't. Again, it depends on how prolific the author is, but I just don't know how effective that would be for an ordinary person who's getting yet another email on top of all the others that they're getting in the normal course of their life. Um,
That's why,
and after a while, you kind of get callous to it.
yeah, that's why I suggest weekly or bi-weekly, because then
Yeah.
it brings up new.
And again, it depends on. I mean, if you're writing a lot, you have to have your newsletter reflect that. So the other thing is that one of the things that makes a newsletter, I think, more effective in terms of getting results from authors. All of us use social media.
Mhm.
We're using LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, to promote our books. But the most direct way is through newsletters, because these are people who have actually signed up one way. However it happens, doesn't really matter, but they signed up for your newsletter. And
Okay.
so you have a specific target, which a newsletter meets, whereas with social media campaigns, you're just throwing a wide net out there. You don't know who you'll snag or who's going to look at it, but you do know who's on your newsletter list. And if you don't take advantage of that, well, what's that saying? Shame on you, because you had that opportunity and you didn't take advantage of it. I will say one other thing real quickly is that one thing I've found is that when you have people sign up for your newsletter, whether it's in person at a book event, whether they use a QR code, if you have the opportunity to communicate with them directly, tell them that you will be sending them a newsletter and to be looking for it in their email. And if they see that, to mark it as they accept it, because more and more of these newsletters are going to spam folders, and the author doesn't even know it, because again, I think filters. The
Mhm.
spam filters are so much more stringent now and widespread. So make sure the reader that signs up for your newsletter knows you're going to get one, and to be looking for it and to mark it, yes, accept it, so
Mhm.
that it doesn't get put into a spam folder.
Definitely. Another thing to consider is timing. How many times do we go into our email in the mornings and there's just so much stuff, we're just flipping them up and deleting?
Yeah.
So think of the time that you send it. What time are you sending it? What day are you sending it? Don't send it on a high day, and try not to send it first thing in the morning. So kind of watch your timing. Another one is content. I agree. I think weekly is too much. I would think monthly is better. And actually, you don't even have to have a book out to start an email list. And that's the beauty of it. You want to build your email list before your book even comes out. So you can put stuff in there, and that's where the connection of the author comes into play. Put stuff in there that's connecting you to your readers before the book even comes out.
And we talked about this a little bit. And again, I guess it depends on the the Mailchimp or whatever you're using to do the emails. The more pictures, the more images that you include, the greater the likelihood that it might be snagged in a spam filter. So
Mhm.
just keep that in mind as well.
And just be very cautious on when you do it.
Right.
Uh, Almond says, fantastic tips. Thank you very much. Very realistic. We try. But definitely get those email lists growing. That is your targeted audience. They're asking to hear from you. Let them hear from you. Connect with them and make sure that they connect with you. Next week we have book covers, because we know that making a first impression is very, very important, and we do know that people do judge a book by the cover. So
That's right.